special guests who seem to have accomplished impossible things, but they bring it down to earth and let us know that we can chase our impossible. We can do it too. So if you enjoy the segment here or you enjoy the content you see on the Beautiful Now podcast, please hit us with a like and a subscribe for the channel. And if you want to get that content delivered to your email box, hit the little bell next to it. That sends it to us whenever we get a new video uploaded. Sends it right to you. Most importantly, if you do enjoy what you see here, please share it with a friend. We want to be able to bring you content that uplifts, encourages, and inspires. Now, of course, today we have another special guest, as always. And I always say he's a good friend of mine, but this guy I've known for years. And we seem to run into each other all the time. But more importantly, he's done amazing things. He's a multi-faceted, multi-entertainer who's a dancer, singer, songwriter, actor. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But he starred in Broadway shows like West Side Story. He's even been in the iconic video Beat It with Michael Jackson. He starred in his own TV show, New York Undercover. This guy has done just about everything. But you know what? He's super humble, and he's got a great story to tell. So let me invite you to my friend, Michael Delorenzo. Michael, you there, buddy?
Yeah, man. I'm here.
What's going on, brother? How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Really good to be here.
Man, glad to have you on the program. You know, I know you and I, like I said, have known each other for years, so it's just great to be able to share your story with others because it's inspired me so long. But now, in this day and age, man, with so much going on, I'd love to inspire others with your story of light.
I'll do what I can.
You always do, man. You've been taking care of yourself out there? You safe and sound?
Yeah. You know, as crazy as it is, as the world is so crazy right now, it's also been an amazing growth. You know, I find that this time, you know, you have two choices: make something happen or do nothing. I chose to just be productive and write and be creative and just, you know, take everything in that's going on in our world.
You know, you and I were just talking a minute ago, and you made a statement that sometimes we look back and we see what happened in the 60s and 70s, and some of our most creative and prolific artists were creating during that time, like a Marvin Gaye or Bob Dylan, and their lyrics kind of proliferated what was happening in that time. They were creative. And if you do nothing, nothing happens. You know, so you gotta use your craft, use your art to say something, right?
Yeah, because we can't always be, you know, we're not always going to be on the front lines. We can't always be always marching. We've got to also create behind the scenes change. Be a creative force to inspire other people.
Completely.
I mean, that is the key. Why songs can change the world. Why music does change the world. Why English songs go to Japan and they don't know the lyrics, but they get moved.
Yeah.
Why the other side of that is why K-pop comes over here, and I'm a huge fan of K-pop.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it coming this way now, by the way.
Oh, it's huge.
But it all tells you that the melody and language of music is good to the soul, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you know?
Listen, I spent one night with a really good friend of mine, Angel De Leon, and now my Spanish is good and bad at times. So we were listening to Mark Anthony, and
I love Mark Anthony. Amazing artist, by the way. Mark Anthony's
amazing artist.
Yeah.
And one of his first albums, I was listening, and I didn't know all the lyrics perfectly. And then when he translated them, we spent this moment of reiterating the phrases and understanding what he was trying to say. And I was like, you know, music, it just blew my mind even more.
Yeah.
So music changes.
Yes,
music
man.
changes me. Music inspires me. I'm so blessed to be able to participate, you know.
Well, man, here at Chasing the Impossible, we try to tell the story of your story to reach people that say, hey, my dream's impossible, I'm never going to make it, but we can, and you will, and that other people have come before you that have made it. So tell me a little bit about where you're from and how this all got started. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bronx, in what was predominantly in the beginning when we first got there. We were the first like mixed race family on this block. It was pretty white Irish.
Yeah,
and,
I'm thinking the Bronx was white Irish back then, so I don't know how you fit
back
into that.
then, yeah.
I don't know how you came up with that.
And you gotta understand. No. You gotta understand. My mother was a very dark Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico, Bayamon, Puerto Rico. My father was a very light-skinned white Italian from Jersey, but transplanted from Italy, Sicily.
Wow, how did that mix? Whoa. Okay.
That's an incredible story.
That's a story all by. That's another video by itself. That story.
It's an incredible story how they met, but true. I was so blessed to have them as parents because, I wrote on my first album. I said, I really don't have anything to complain about. I wish I did. You know how everybody's got this, and we didn't have any money, but we had massive amounts of love and smarts and guidance and just like it was all of our siblings. We go, if it wasn't for my mother and father, we wouldn't be where we are today, because it wasn't because we were blessed with untold resources in terms of money, but they were creative with it. Super creative.
I talk about that too. As far as people ask me about my story, and they may ask me because they may think I came from money or whatever. Like, no, man, it wasn't even like that, But my parents worked their asses off. They got us to a space where we were really working hard, and we were living in a great area. And they always taught me to speak well, think well, and be smarter than the average bear. Be 100% above always. And I've seen that as a blessing all this time. And I never wanted for love. They always just took care of me. They encouraged me, and they helped me to stay creative, which is a lot like what your parents did. Help you stay creative, right?
Yeah, listen, I thank God for my parents. I mean, listen, I had 3 outfits when I went to school. I had the dress-up outfit, the play outfit, and the regular day outfit. That was it.
I had those 3. I think I still got them in the closet.
And don't mess them up. You got to keep them clean. You had your dress pants, and those were creased, and the crease was permanent,
super thin and sharp. Ching.
Sharp.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Starched the whole 9.
Yeah. And that was it.
You have so many like natural gifts and talents. As you were growing up, is there one that kind of stuck out to you that said, "This is what I want to be. This is my passion"? And why was
Listen,
that?
you're gonna laugh, but when I was 6.5, I guess I was dancing around so much that my mother brought me to this studio downtown at the old Ed Sullivan Theater where David Letterman filmed his show. And at the Ed Sullivan Theater, they had dance studios, all the rehearsal studios for all the TV shows at the time before they'd already been transplanted to LA, but they had all these studios left over in this Ed Sullivan building. And that's where they used to film the Ed Sullivan Show after David Letterman took over, before David Letterman took over. And they had this one studio, and I don't know where my mother saw it in the paper or something, it's flamenco lessons with Tina Ramirez. And I started to take flamenco lessons every Saturday. And then the teacher went to my mother and says, "Listen, I want to give him private lessons." And my mother says, I barely can afford that. Exactly.
Not going to happen. Dollars are not there for that.
I said, my mother said, I don't have money for that. I barely have money for this. She says, no. I will do it for free. Because she didn't have any boys. And she goes, every boy that comes in, they get really intimidated because there's only one boy and all these girls, and you're 6.5, and you're like, so it was such. She gave me private lessons and changed my life.
Wow. Who knew that? Who knew that part of the story? Wow. And it changed your whole life.
Changed my whole life, because then her sister was also a dance teacher, but she was a ballet teacher. She taught me flamenco, and her sister taught me ballet. And then when her sister then saw that I was getting really, really good, really fast, she got me a scholarship at the School of American Ballet with George Balanchine.
And fellas, if y'all don't know, dance is hard. It's not something you see these men get up there and do these great moves, but it's not an easy thing to do. Talk to him, Michael. Tell him something.
No. There's some of the strongest people I know were always dancers, because every part of their body is just built for perfection.
Wow.
Everything needs to move. You gotta have strong legs because you have to jump, and you have to have strong arms because you got to lift the ballerinas.
Wow. So when did you know that was like you were born to do this? So as you're taking the lessons, you just felt like, man, I'm supposed to do this. Was that
it took them. Listen, I love doing it, and it was so fascinating to me, and I had incredible teachers. But then, this whole story really is a series of happy accidents. Yeah. Things that could be perceived as tragedy, which ended up turning out to be like a blessing in disguise.
I mean, because I can't imagine you being in the Bronx, being the only Latin American person and boy around there, and they're going, "You gonna want to dance instead of play baseball? Come on, dude."
No,
or whatever."
no. And yeah,
come on.
No. That's exactly what happened. I mean, I definitely got, I had a lot of run-ins in school.
I bet
but
you.
Also,
yeah,
you gotta understand, I had ballet slippers and tights in my backpack. That's not a good look for the Bronx.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking, how did that fly with your boys?
No. It wasn't. It was a well-kept secret at school. People on the block, they kind of knew, because I started getting newspapers articles, and I think I did a movie when I was 7.
Get out.
I was in the background. I did a TV series when I was 7, where I was with Rita Moreno, and I was in the front of the choir. And so what happened was, I got this scholarship, but then about 2 years in, about 8 and a half, I got kicked out because I was a little bit rambunctious.
A little bit.
And but then that was the blessing. That was the beginning of the blessing, because then another school, which was more geared towards the energy that I had, these teachers, Barbara Fallis and Richard Thomas, who happened to be probably the best teachers in New York at the time. And they're the parents of John Boy, Richard Thomas.
Get out.
Who was on the Walter.
Really?
Yeah.
Who would have thought that, right?
Well, listen, he was amazing. He was an amazing individual, an amazing actor. And they're the ones that really transformed me and made me really double fall in love with ballet. That's what I was going to be. I was going to be a ballet dancer. Getting here.
Wow.
I don't know if it's manifest destiny or it's what is it? It's a series of these
unfortunate accidents.
Fortunate actually in a way, because it's always about perspective.
Always about perspective.
It's always about perspective.
To this day, it's about perspective. Always. It's
about your perspective. It's as simple as seeing glass half full and half glass empty. So what happened was, once I started there, then things really progressed, and I loved, I was still doing flamenco, and I was still doing ballet, and I was still doing everything. And then I was supposed to go, at the time, they had a competition in Varna, Bulgaria, and that was the Ballet Olympics. And I was gearing up to go there. We went on tour when I was 13 and a half, 14 with this ballet company, US Terpsichore. And then at the end of it, I tore my cartilage in my knee.
Oh.
Yeah. So then the doctor at the time, and this was, I was already progressing, and listen, and I went to Performing Arts High School as well, by the way, and in the first year.
Which high school? Which high school?
Performing Arts High School.
Is that what it was called?
Performing Arts High School.
Okay.
PA.
Okay.
And it's that was the original. It's the one for the movie.
Yeah.
Fame.
That's what is that the one from Fame? That's what I'm.
That's the one from Fame.
Oh.
And I was in the senior concert as a freshman, which is nobody's ever done that. So that's where I was balletically.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And then the second year, the same thing. I was back dancing, and I tried to do a triple axel, which has not been done. And we were in rehearsal for it, and I cracked my ankle, and it was like they said, you're never gonna dance again. And this is when I was like 15, right? So then I got better, started dancing again. I mean, but the series of these accidents, what happened with that, because of that happening, and then because I went on tour, they put me in a private school because I had to go on tour. And this was all with a scholarship, right? So I go on tour, but in my school, there were all these actors from TV shows, dancers as well. But it was a small little school called Lincoln Square Academy, and it doesn't even exist anymore, which is crazy. But one of my classmates was Lawrence Fishburne.
Get out. Lawrence Fishburne from The Matrix?
Yeah, no, but he had just come back from Apocalypse Now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
at 15.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
And Michael from Good Times, Ralph Carter, was also my classmate.
Wow.
We became really friends. I mean, there's so everybody in the acting world was in
Was
there.
there.
Everybody that was a kid that was doing work
Was
was
there.
there. So in my naivete at the time, I'm like, well, and then I was told, because was going there because I couldn't dance anymore. I said, well, I could do that. That's easy.
So you started acting.
So I started pretending to act, and then but you're young, you have the whole world ahead of you. You have no fear, and you've got a ton of bravado and no talent. But sometimes bravado gets you through a couple of doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so then I just started really listening and following and listening and just watching people, and taking it in, like, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? And just absorbing the situation.
Go ahead, keep talking. I was gonna say I hear you talking, and I think back to every person that I've spoken to that's been successful, and I always ask them, where was the grind at? Where was the homework to perfect your craft and what you do? And it sounds like you were grinding it out from the very beginning when you were younger, from you going from learning how to dance with your class and on the private classes, to you becoming great through junior high, high school, going to the performing arts class, and then hurting yourself but coming back and working back through the grind, and then discovering acting while you're in the school healing for dancing, and you had to grind that out. When did the grind for acting begin?
I mean, from the get-go. I mean, luckily, listen, because, for instance, because I still was such at that time, dance was my world, and I was still really, really good at it. I remember going to, there was an open call, and it was my last year of high school at LSA, and it was an open call for this movie. They didn't call it Fame at the time, but it was Fame, right? In the dead of winter, 600 people outside of school waiting, and I waited. And they had categories. Okay, what do? You dance, you sing, you act, da, 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 da. So I said, well, I think I'm an okay dancer. And so I go in. Right off street clothes. And I just went boom, 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 boom. They showed them something and they went, oh, okay. Yes, you are. Okay, come back, blah, blah, blah. And then, a couple of series of auditions, and then I got the movie. And that was an amazing turning point. Luis Falco choreographed it. It was an amazing experience, just because you're getting on set with people that are really good at what they do.
And to think that was a movie about the school that you went to before it became what it became, right?
Right.
That had to be full circle in your mind to go, I went to this school that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Was that like surreal?
No, because you're too. The funny thing is, we as you grow older, you can have perspective. When you're 17, there's no perspective. There's just forward. You don't have perspective because you're just. And also, I'm never one to sit back and contemplate. If you've come to my house, I don't have pictures of me. I don't have the trophy shrine. I don't have anything that links me to a moment that I've already done, because it's a moment I've already done.
Wow. Good perspective.
There are other people that will celebrate me, and that's for them to do.
Okay.
I have incredible fans. I've got an incredible family. But the moment you sit and go, man, I've done great things, you don't look forward to what do I need to do next?
Wow.
Where do I want to go from here? And because I've gone to people's houses, I know many, many wonderful, talented people, but some people are stuck in a moment that they've already celebrated, that they've done. And I get that. For me, the hardest thing is to do that, because then I think, oh, I will get mad at myself and say, wait a second, wait, what? This journey is not over. Life is not over. There's other things you need to do.
I
You
love
come
that
from
perspective.
you come from great people. They expect great things. Yes, you've done this, that, and the other, but have you done this and have you done that?
I love that perspective. I absolutely love it. I haven't heard it from many people that I've interviewed, but I love that you said it. Love it.
No, I don't have. If you came out, there's no pictures of me anywhere. There's no pictures of me with this, that. I got tons of posters. I got tons of awards.
Sure.
But I just don't put them up because sometimes then I'm like, I don't want people to come in, right? Not that anybody's coming over now.
Yeah, COVID, come on. Nobody's moving right now.
Right, but that go, oh, I mean, listen, I'm all over the internet. You can look me up on IMDb. There are things that I've done, but for me to look at it, it's like, it's sometimes I don't want to get lazy for me.
Which brings me to the question then. You've had multiple, and I say multiple, which most people may have one or two breakout roles in their life, but you've had multiple roles that have pushed you forward into the public eye. Fame being number one, Broadway with West Side Story, of course, Michael Jackson Beat It, New York Undercover. You had your own show. I mean, come on, dude. You've had multiple steps where you've grown and had iconic roles. Give me the story of how you found Beat It, because I'm just curious to know how that even stepped up in your world.
Well, listen. I was fortunate enough to have a mentor at the time. His name is Michael Peters. Michael Peters was the choreographer for Beat It. Michael Peters is an amazing. He choreographed Dreamgirls, helped create it. He worked closely with Michael Bennett. He was just a genius and way ahead of his time. And he also he saw in me, which few did at the time, that I could be better than just a dancer, that I could be greater than. He was one of the first people to say, you're not just this. You have this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I do? I mean, yes, I do.
I never want to interrupt, but I want to save that moment and pause it in my mind for the people that are watching and say, I'm not even pausing the video. I'm just saying, we all need somebody to tell us in our life we can be greater than. And you had that. And that's a moment that changed your life. Because if you always feel like I can only be X, then your mind and your speech and your world brings you only X. Am I telling the truth?
Completely.
But you had someone that said, no, you can be greater. And we all need that person in our life to say, you can be greater than. And you had a man in your life, a mentor, that pushed you forward that said, you can be greater than X. And you went and did it. And you did it.
Yeah.
Finish your story. I just want people to know that.
No. He was amazing in that sense. So I was doing Fame at the time, and then he said, I'm doing this video. You're going to be doing it. And then, okay. He didn't tell me who it was at first. And then we went to rehearsal, and we were like, oh.
You didn't know it was Michael Jackson?
No, not at first. He didn't want nobody to trip out, He had already been working with Michael. So when we got to rehearsal, Michael was like, listen, I'm trained. So I'm thinking I'm gonna blow him out the water. And he was perfection. Like, he was perfection. He was amazing dancer, amazing. He was a perfectionist. He was every hand movement, every finger gesture, everything in space and time was absolutely correct and worked on tirelessly. And when he messed up even just a tiny bit, back to the beginning. Let's do it again.
Wow. He was that tough.
Tough. Not only tough, but also he was really, listen, I can only speak on my experience, and he was very humble, very cool. And that's it. We rehearsed for, I think, 2 days, and then we did it.
Wow. But when you say you watched him, and I've always heard Michael was one of the greats of all time, and he always will be in my book. But to hear you say, he walked in and he was just perfection. What we saw on television was really him. He was just nailing it every time.
Yeah, because also he was one that he would see something And now he may not get it right away, but he'd look at it, and work on it, and do it small, and then go home, and he'd be there all night by himself in the mirror. So the next day, you went, what?
That's why he was MJ, dude.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yeah.
The dude is a
and there are
beast.
people, listen, there's, I've been blessed to work with so many people like that, it was just wonderful,
And when you look back on that, and when people, you can look back as one of your iconic markers because you've had so many. That's an iconic video that'll be around forever, and you can say I was a part of that iconic moment in history. How does that feel?
It's hard for me. Listen, it's not for me to celebrate per se. It's like I told you before. It's like I like that other people appreciate it. I appreciate it. I love that time. But it's like every it's the momentum of keeping one step in front of the other that we have to constantly do. So it's hard for me to go, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Wow, that's cool.
You know what I'm saying?
That's cool, man.
It's more a matter of like, it's for the fans that I love when they go, I love that, you were this. Listen, there was a moment in time when I had a moment where I was transitioning to acting from dancing. And sometimes I'd walk, people would recognize me, and they go like, Fame! And I'm like, I'd be a little bit like, is that all they think? Do you know what I'm saying? Because I've been doing something else.
Wow.
But that was my issue, not their issue.
I got you. That was your internal ego check. Like, okay.
Yeah. Like, do they not see this other stuff? And then I'm going, it took a moment because I want them to, I wanted to, it was such a transition in the sense that to be able to go from dancing to acting, because there was a lot of bumps in the road to get there, because there were many people that told me, oh, no, you're a dancer, you're not an actor, you'll never. I could tell you the story about I left Fame because they promised one thing and then they never gave it to me, and so I quit. And all the dancers went back except me. And then, because you have to stand on your own 2 feet, you either believe in yourself or you don't. And when I quit, they said, what, are you crazy? You're just a dancer. That's who you are. What? And then I went, okay, well, that's how you think, but I can't look at myself in that box. Not that I disregard dance. Dance, I think, is one of the hardest disciplines you can do. But that's also what prepares you for everything else. Because if you can do dance, and that takes 12 hours a day every day. And I'll tell you, the funniest story was, we would, at the time, when we were doing Fame, we'd work 10, 12 hours a day dancing. And we got paid $250 a day. I did one line on Fame. I got $1,500 in 45 minutes.
Okay, so I see the barometer here. It's a much better move. It must be easy, much better on your body.
And I went, wait a second. And I can still walk.
Say much better on your body, much easier on your joints,
but
your knees.
That was also a blessing in disguise. In other words, I love my experience on Fame, and I love all the people associated with Fame. They were all amazing people. We all have different perspectives at different times in our lives, right? And I needed a change. Had nothing to do with that. It was actually the best thing that could have happened that they didn't promote me. You feel me?
So
because
then,
I wouldn't have made the journey that I made, because right after that, when I got Miami Vice, Sidney Poitier called me up and said, I've got this movie.
and if Sidney Poitier calls you, you're going to answer the phone.
No. and the thing about that, he goes, I really didn't know who you are, but my daughter said I got to hire you.
Wow.
And I went, however you want to do this.
It don't matter to me, man. I'm in. Sidney called me, I'm in.
I'm in. And that was another turning point, and that was amazing, getting to work with him. And he was such a genius and such a sweet, sweet man.
I'm gonna turn you left because
go turn me left
because I want you to share. I ask every successful person this. There's always a time when you fall. There's always a time when you fail. And I think what people that are trying to get to a successful place, sometimes I feel like, oh, if I hit a wall, I must be going the wrong way. Or if I fall, maybe I wasn't supposed to do this, or maybe this isn't. And I try to tell them, falling is part of the process. Falling is when a lot of times where you learn the most lessons. Give me a time where you feel like maybe it was a fall or a misstep and you learned from it.
Well, there's 1,000, because there's 1,000 jobs that you go in for and you get maybe one. I have a funny story about, I was called in, and I'm not going to name names, but I was called in for a movie to play a dad for this very famous, really famous person who in this world, right? Now, the role was this, he was a hard ass, and he was a Latino, and he doesn't believe in his son's talent, and he thinks what his son is doing is stupid and wrong, and he's that kind of guy.
Okay.
So I came into the audition all method, and the kid was there, right?
Oh, wow.
So I'm being the dad, and they were asking me, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, it's stupid. But they took it like I was really that. You know what I'm saying?
You were in method role, and they took you.
I was in method.
That was your guy.
And they took it like, God, why is he being an asshole?
Why is this guy a jerk?
No, read the lines. You know what I mean? It was like really. So I went to my dad. He goes, "What did you do?" I said, "I just kind of." And the director came out and talked to me and said, "What's going on with you?" I was like, "I was just acting." Oh, because he's really offended. I'm like, well, shouldn't he be? I was kidding. I was acting. It's called acting, my friend.
So what did you learn from that horrible mistake?
Well, you learn certain things. There's a place and a time, and look, that's not a terrible. That may be wrong in terms of being a terrible story, but listen, there's always bumps in the road. I got to think of an even better one, but that one was the lesson you learn sometimes is that, there's a place and a time for everything. And although that, for instance, when I did head of the class, I had a really amazing experience there. Howard Hessman was amazing. No, I've got the best story. Let me give you the best story. I forgot to tell you how I got head of the class.
Okay.
So I was doing a play. I was about to do a play. Let me tell you this story. Preface this. I was still a dancer. I got the lead in this play. And I couldn't be there for the first rehearsal because I had a commercial that I was dancing in that paid me a chunk of money. And this play in rehearsals was going to pay me $100. So I'm like, I need to do this commercial. I'll miss the first day. You guys know what's up. I'll come back. So my understudy did my role for the first day of rehearsal. And it's a very incredible play called Stand-Up Tragedy. Ron Link, bless his soul, passed away, but he was an amazing director. They had an incredible cast. It was at the Mark Taper Forum in Los Angeles, if you know theaters. So I come in the second day. Unbeknownst to me, the first day, the actor who I love, his name is Anthony Barilli, he's wonderful. He played my understudy. He gave it his all in that rehearsal. He just pop, 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 pop. So my first day of rehearsal, just like anything, it's almost like, first day of anything, you don't go full out. You kind of just find your way. it's just like music. It's just like anything else. Acting is not like, let me not find the answer today. I'll get there. Don't get me wrong. But I got to find the journey of this character. And so I'm not going to make definitive choices from day one, because I got to see how you play with me. I got to see how I play with you. And then we will find our way. Well, they were not having none of that. By lunchtime, they almost fired me.
What?
Oh yeah. And then at the end of the day, they called it a day early. Said, Michael, what's going on? I'm like, well, nothing. Why? I'm just trying to find. Really? Because Anthony was pretty amazing yesterday. I'm like, and I was like taken so far back because I've done plays before. I mean, I've never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really just, and they were serious. They were dead serious. And then I went home I was walking to the parking lot with my co-star. And this is what really infuriated me. And I was looking for solace. Like, hey man, can you believe that, bro? You know, da 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 da. I mean, it's the first day, and he went, oh well. I went, oh well. And in my mind, I'm like, you're like, oh well, and I almost got fired, and you're like, oh well. And I'm like, wow. And it just went home, memorized everything, stood up all night, called all my friends to come work with me. I mean, it was a lesson of sometimes you just can't, the word is don't let them catch you sleeping.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
But don't give them a reason to doubt you.
Come on now.
Right?
That's the lesson.
Because
don't give them
and then I felt like, wow, that's really it. So, but now I'm always so, I mean, I had an immense amount of dialogue because I played 5 different characters. So it was like I had 13-page monologues. So all the burden was on me. So I literally had to just work day and night with different coaches, different people who were kind enough to help me.
But you came in and nailed it, right?
Oh, I won Best Actor.
Okay, that's what's all of that. That's all that's up.
Yeah. But from that, I got head of the class because all the producers and Howard Hessman came and saw it and said, you got to go see this kid. He's amazing. You got to go see this kid.
Wow.
So I say this in the sense that, like we all have, there are moments that are not pleasant, because that wasn't pleasant. And I really for a second, like, they doubted me, he doubted me, they doubted me. And I'm like, for a second there, for a good hour, I was like, I'm a suck. And then part of my ego says, well, oh, forget this then. Go ahead. You want to fire me? Fire me. But then I was like, no, I'm not going to let them do this to me. I will not let you do this to me. I will work that much harder than anybody you've ever seen. And I'll make you eat your words. And they did.
Nice, man. I love it. I love it. For all you out there, don't let them sleep. Don't let them sleep on it, and always be on your A game. Don't
got to.
Don't
and
give them
a
reason to think that you're at your best.
We as a people, and I'm not just talking whatever. Mm-hmm. We cannot afford to be lax in any way, shape, or form, because sometimes they just look at you and doubt you from the get-go.
From the get, and you got to be 2 steps ahead all the time.
You got to be 2 steps ahead. Yeah.
All the time. I won't even go there. I'm gonna leave that hole because I was gonna go there. I'm not gonna make this racial tension
thing. You hit it right on the head
because it's right there. So let me just curtail that a little bit and tell me a little bit about how you landed the New York Undercover role, which is another iconic role on your planet. How that came about and where.
That's another amazing story.
Yeah.
Because my agent sent me the script. I read it. It was amazing. I said, this is it. This is me. And they go, I know, this is you. He says, but they won't see you. I said, why? Because they think of you as this like little pansy ass dancer. And I'm like, I said, I gotta get in. You gotta get me in. He says, well, I will call. I've called and they won't, they don't think you're right for it. I said,
dude, that role was made for you. The role was made for you.
There's a big, long story. So they said, okay. Now, mind you, I had already starred in things already. So it's not like I didn't do anything. I just came back from doing a live, right? And head of the class and a few good men. So it wasn't like I didn't have things that showed me in a different way. But they said, nah, he's not right. He's a dancer. He's not gonna be no tough New York cop. And so I said, I begged my agents, and she was right. She was behind me 100%. They were behind me 100%, my agency. And so they just kept calling. All right, we'll see him. But we'll see him, we'll let the assistant to the assistant see him. Not even the main people.
Oh, wow.
It was just a courtesy.
Wow.
So they weren't thinking anything good was going to happen. So I came in, smashed it. And the assistant said, oh. And then I got to the assistant. Then I got to the main casting director. And he goes, oh, okay. And then that's when I got to meet. And then they sent me to the producers.
Wow. But you had to come in and smash it.
I had to be humble. That's the thing about, because I've met so many actors, like I would never have done that. I'm already here. I got a story when I was in the room, but I'm not going to say it because it's really.
We don't want to put by the bus, but
no, it's not.
But you nailed that.
I mean, the whole purpose was keep your ego at the door, and come on in and just do the work. Let the work speak for itself.
And that role was one of your best.
Yeah, I was fortunate. That was really good. It worked out perfectly. Me and Malik clicked instantly.
Yeah, because on screen you guys were amazing together.
Yeah, and that's my brother. That's my brother to this day.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. I just had to tell that part of the story because I always loved that show, and to look up and go, man, that dude was killing it back then, and now to know the backstory of how you really worked hard to get that role and that it was perfect for you. That just it makes me appreciate even more. It reminds me even more that you were made for that role. Sometimes,
listen, I don't have a problem dancing for my dinner or working that hard. This is who you are. We as performers, as artists, we have to put up or shut up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
Don't talk about it, be about it. Which fast forwards you to your next layer of who you are as a person. With all this stuff you're doing, the dancing and the acting, now you step up and you say, I'm going to be a musician. You start putting out music. Yeah. Where did that come from? How did that enter the picture? You don't have time. Where's your schedule for that?
No, but I've always loved music. I just didn't think I was any good. I've always loved music. And I've also been very fortunate because when I was doing Fame, Lee Carreri was just an incredible, just a friend, and would always invite me to the studio, and I would be like just a fly on the wall watching, because he's really truly a talented musician. And I would just watch him in the studio all night, and he would just play all night, record all night. I mean, he had like stuff that nobody could have. He had the first sampler. He had the first, what is it, the MSQ 700. I don't know if you know what that was, which was the first sequencer. He had the first Lin drum, and then he's like, because he was a star of the show, he could afford that stuff.
Right.
I was just like, So it was great to just be a fly on the wall and just learn. So I was always around musicians, always around. Like when we were doing Fame, all the musicians, I would just hang out with them.
So did this bug just take you while you were acting and dancing? I always want to do this?
Listen, I had a studio back then when I was doing Fame, little rinky-dink, little, 4-track cassette studio. But
come on, 4-track. We all started 4-track.
Let me tell you, I was super excited. The stuff that I would play, my friends, I'd be going, this could be on the radio, right? And they would look, yeah, Sure. But you know, I
Wow.
had the ultimate, you know, you got to have confidence no matter in whatever you do at whatever stage you're living and learning, because to move forward, you can't, you know, because like I could never be a painter. My father was a painter. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was too critical. Like, that's wrong. So throw it all out. You can't do that as a musician. You can't. You know, there's a lot of wrongs that lead you to the right.
Well spoken. A lot of wrongs will lead you to the right. Well spoken.
You know, you all these mistakes that happen to me, all these missteps, always end up focusing my energy and leading me to the right path, to where I'm destined to be.
So
You
here
know?
you are now, fast forward, and you've accomplished, man, more than most people accomplish in their whole lifetime. And you look back and you go, okay, have I accomplished everything I wanted to do in my career? Is that something where you feel like you've
Yeah.
made it or no?
No, not even close. Not even close. Because I've been also, you know, I'm in the DGA, so I'm a director, right? So I've been directing a lot of music videos and shorts and stuff like that. And I've directed a movie, and I directed a couple of other episodics. You know, when I did Resurrection Boulevard, that was a big turning point, because I got to direct on that show, and that was a blessing, and learned so much. Had an incredible cast, incredible crew, you know. So thank God for Dennis Leone for giving me that break. You know, he was one of the first executive producers that would do that. You know, because a lot of times people that look like us
Yes,
don't
sir.
keep it there.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
We're trying to
and
keep this
so
politically
yeah,
correct, but
no,
we
we're
get
good.
it.
We're
But we
good.
get it.
We're good.
Racial
But
tension
he gave
and
me
injustice
he
there.
gave listen, he gave me that shot. So I'll always be grateful, you know.
Man, I've been looking forward to this interview for a month or two. We've been trying to get together for 6 months at least. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but to hear your story and to walk through some of the experiences you've had, and to feel like I was part of that with you, to hear it now is just a joy, and it just makes me respect you even more. I've always respected you as a human being, but to hear how you fought for it, and you made it work, and you had a confidence in yourself even at a young age that took you to the place where you are now. So I think as I want to close off our conversation, if you could talk to if the older you could talk to the younger you about what's going to happen in their life, what would be the advice you would give them?
You know, I think sometimes ignorance is bliss. Not knowing how things are going to turn out is truly the blessing of life. Because if we knew, why even go venture, right? It's sometimes it's not the mountain peak that is the end all be all. It's the journey. It's the people that you meet along the way that you go, you know what? I don't know where this friendship is going, but I know I'm more inspired today than I was 5 minutes ago. And I don't know if I would have, you know, it's always fear. I think that's the one thing that I could say to myself, say, what, don't be afraid.
Mm, mm.
Because listen, I grew up a skinny kid with ballet slippers and tights. I had a head brace because I had buck teeth because I sucked my thumb till I was 12. So I was not the popular kid. So, but through it all, being bullied, being any of those things that we can all attest to, there's nobody, I think, that comes unscathed. There's no perfect existence. So as much as we try to think, that must be, you know, there's no perfect existence. The perfect existence is if you learn from your existence. You learn from your own foibles. Learn that you're not perfect. Learn that we find, but just be curious. I'm supremely curious. I ask way too many questions. When I was
Never too many questions.
When I was a dancer and I was on Fame, I would ask the director, and I'm like, You know, no. But how do you do this? And some people would tell me. I was always curious how the process worked. I was thankful when somebody just gave me 2 minutes of insight. right?
Wow.
But there's so many times when we're not curious enough to ask because our egos, you know, and I've caught myself going, why don't I just ask, you know? And of course, you know, sometimes with the trappings of this life that we lead, we go, well, I don't want to ask. I don't want to seem this. I don't want to seem dumb. I don't want to seem like I don't know. And I'm like, I'm always willing to be like the dumb one in the class because I want to know.
It's a beautiful thing.
I'm that curious. It's not an ego for me to be like, okay, you don't know? No, I don't know. But
And
I
that's
want to
the
learn.
power of not knowing. That's how you gain the knowledge, you gain the experience, you gain the journey. And you said it perfectly. It's okay to not know. It's okay to not know
Yeah.
the end of this. And the journey is most of where you find the joy and the experience of life. You know, if you
Listen,
knew where you were going when you got there, why would you want to go?
I had so many times when I was like, I had to build all this studio myself. I had to do everything myself. I had people that helped me along the way. But then at some point, it's on you. It's on you completely to be the captain of your ship and take that responsibility and that's why it's been such I look at this downtime in a way as it's always these blessings in disguise. I have been more productive, more creative, so I'm so prepared for where I want to be, where I want to go, more focused, and that we should all be striving for the next moment in our lives and not sit in a moment too long.
I love that. Love that. I'm gonna pause you right there because that is the moment we should end on. We're all striving, but we don't want to sit in a moment too long. We need to be ready for the next one. So, with that thought, I'll throw out the last question because it's super easy.
Yeah.
What's next for Michael Delorenzo? What's the next thing? Are you going for music? Are you going into acting?
Well, I've got a project that I can't really talk about, but it's a really special project that we're probably going to start in the end of July. That's what I was told. But you will definitely hear about it. Obviously, I've been recording my second album for the last 6 months or so, but in the last month, I've written like 5 just amazingly powerful songs and a song. And then I'm also working on this script. So I've got my hands in many places because my mind works in many places. One minute I'm here doing music, and the other minute I'm working on the script, and then the other minute I love acting.
So you're still being Michael. You're still doing all the things that make you happy.
And I'm learning every day.
Yeah, you've always been multifaceted.
You know, technology. I love technology, right? And look, the fact that we're doing this like this, isn't this incredible?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think at another time would we have done this.
And what a time it is right now. Unprecedented, uncharted waters. So, man, I just appreciate you stopping by to just share your story and talk to us about what it means to not stay in the moment, but be ready for the next one. And that's what your whole life has been. As we talked about it, you were always in a moment, but you were always ready for the next. You were always looking for what was ahead. And you lived your life that way, and it's brought you to a place where now you're still doing the same thing. You're doing multiple things, looking for ways to continue to accomplish what you are. So that's amazing story to me. I hope the people that have watched today's segment have enjoyed it. Michael, if they want to get in touch with you, either for something for a project or whatever, how they
listen. All they got to do is hit me up on IG at AKA_DELO, or hit my website, which is michaeldelorenzo.com, or my management is at Opus Entertainment, Chris Black. So
if they need, I'll put those items on the screen so you guys can check it out.
Yeah, and, you know my stuff, right?
I do. But we want to make sure you can reach Michael if you want to even find out anything about him, or to hire him for another movie or a video, or for whatever you may need this incredible gifted guy.
Come on now,
you know he's out there ready if he has time, because he's already pretty busy. But man, Michael, again, just thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it. I know
thank you so much.
Your fans, I know, love you, so we appreciate them coming and watching Chasing the Impossible today. And if you enjoyed this content, as we always say, please share with a friend. We hope it encouraged you, inspired you today. And of course, from us, we just say, be careful out there. Keep those hands washed as we go through the rest of COVID-19. And, and increase the peace. Stop the violence, y'all. Let's just take care of each other right now. Let's get through this thing together, all right? God bless. Take care. We'll see you next time on Chasing the Impossible.